and welcome to the world now at 4. I am Aidan Lubem. First, the headlines. On the headlines, IGP seeks review of INEC's political programs. Sudan ruling general not to run in elections. On the world stage, China sentenced ex-justice minister to death. On sports, Boston suspend coach Udoka. President Muhammadu Buhari will on Tuesday, October 11, confer the National Award of the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the Olu of Warri Ogame Atuase III. The conferment notice, which was signed by the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, George Akume, said the Olu of Warri would join other prominent awardees found by the federal government worthy of the honors. The 2022 National Honor Letter cited and signed by the minister revealed that the president has approved the conferment of national honor on the king in the rank of the CFR, that is the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali, says there is a need to review evolving political programs laid down by the Independent National Electoral Commission and chart clear pathways for a smooth electoral process in the countdown to the 2023 general elections. Alkali made this known during a conference with commissioners of police and in the nation's headquarters. Alkali charged all officers present to boost the security of their public space towards guaranteeing a crime-free and enabling environment for political campaigns and other components of the electoral process. He noted that this was paramount following the announcement by the INEC for the commencement of electioneering campaigns of all political parties from September 28, 2022.
In the performance of these roles, we are expected to maintain an oath of neutrality in accordance with the Electoral Act, be always at alert during our electoral security deployments, exhibit a high degree of professionalism and fairness in our dealings with all parties. We are also expected to adopt a professional orientation that emphasizes democratic values.
The Inspector General also warned all security outfits under different nomenclature that the electoral space has no place for them.
And in furtherance to Mr. President's desire to bequeath a legacy of entrenched democratic values to our beloved nation.
The Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted against the People's Democratic Party, that is PDP, to enforce the zoning and rotational arrangement ahead of the 2023 presidential election. The nation's apex court on Friday, in a unanimous ruling delivered by Justice Adamu Jauru, dismissed the suit on the ground of lack of jurisdiction to entertain the suit. A presidential aspirant of the PDP and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Cosmos Ndukwe, had gone to court to institute the suit against his party, praying for an order to compel it to sustain the zoning and rotation policy of the party. Ndukwe sought the court's order to compel PDP to zone the nomination of its presidential candidate to the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. However, Justice Jairo held that the suit was not justiciable on the ground that the nomination of candidates for election is an internal affair of political parties. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now to news from other parts of Africa. Center-left coalition in Sao Tome and Principe will run for parliament on Sunday in disarray and could give up its fragile majority to the center-right in this small Portuguese-speaking country, which is used to alternating elections and considered a model of parliamentary democracy in Africa. Some 100,000 voters out of a population of 215,000 are called upon to renew the 55 deputies of the National Assembly for a 4-year term, and at the same time as regional and municipal elected officials. Two major parties have been vying for the leadership of the country since its independence from Portugal in 1975. The Independent Democratic Action, that is ADI, Centre-Right, and the ruling Movement for the Liberation of Sao Tome and Principe, Social Democratic Party, which is the centre-left. In 2021, Santomeans elected an ADI president, Carlos Villanova, but the executive branch has been held primarily by the Prime Minister, Jorge Lopez Bom Jesus of the MLSTP, a coalition of left-wing parties who won the 2018 legislative elections. And now to Sudan, where Sudan's ruling military general who mounted a coup nearly a year ago said he will not run in future elections for a civilian-led government. General Abdel Fattah Burhan spoke with newsmen on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Nearly 1 year after he mounted a coup that upended the Arabic-speaking African nation's short-lived transition to democracy after 3 decades of repression rule by strongman Omar al-Bashir. Sudan has been mired in political turmoil for over 3 years, and its economy has teetered, and inflation was expected to hit a staggering 245% this year. Troops have opened fire at protesters, killing some of the marchers and detaining hundreds, while no police or security forces have been convicted in the deaths. Burhan said around 5 or 6 are under investigation. We now move to other parts of the world after this break. Welcome back now to other parts of the world. Russia's defense ministry has revealed a host of occupations that will be exempted from conscription aimed at boosting its war effort in Ukraine. IT workers, bankers, and journalists working for state media will escape the partial mobilization announced by President Vladimir Putin. Around 300,000 citizens face being called up as start of the drive. The move has prompted a rush towards borders as young men attempted to flee to evade the draft. Announcing the exemptions today, Russian Defense Ministry said employers must compile a list of workers who meet the criteria and submit it to its office. Although it accepted some sectors had been excluded to ensure the work of specific high-tech industries as well as Russia's financial system. Former Chinese Justice Minister Fu Zhenghua, who led numerous campaigns against corruption, has been sentenced to death for bribery involving over $16 million. Fu pleaded guilty in July to receive 117 million yuan, which is approximately $16.5 million in gift and money for personal gain. A court in Changchun Thursday handed Fu a death sentence to be commuted to life in prison after 2 years. His conviction comes amid an unexpected clampdown on officials ahead of a key Communist Party Congress next month. Chinese media disclosed that 67-year-old was handed a suspended death sentence that will be commuted to life imprisonment after 2 years with no possibility of bail. Ahead of Fu's court trial in the northeastern city of Changchun, China's anti-graft agency revealed earlier this year that Fu had also been part of a political gang of Sun Lijun, one of the most prominent officials from the security apparatus to be targeted since Zhou's conviction in 2015. And now to Syria, where the health minister Hassan al-Gabshaba has said bodies of 71 migrants have been found after the boat they were traveling in sank off Syria's coast. 20 survivors are being treated in a hospital in the Syrian city of Tartus. Officials said Lebanese, Syrian and Palestinian nationals, including women and children, were believed to be among the 120 to 150 people who were on board when the boat sank on Thursday. It is not clear what caused the accident. However, a rescue attempt is ongoing. Officials added that the vessel had departed from Minya, a city near the Lebanese port city of Tripoli. The boat is believed to have been heading to Europe when it sank. Tartus, where survivors have been transported, is about 30 miles, that is 50 kilometers, north of Tripoli. We'll go to business news after this break. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to business news. The World Bank Group has warned Nigeria as well as other developing economies that simultaneous rate hikes in response to increasing inflationary pressure may trigger a global recession and a string of financial crises. In its new study, the Washington-based bank said the current expected trajectory of interest rate increases and other policy actions might not be sufficient to bring global inflation back to levels seen before the pandemic. Central banks around the world have been raising interest rates this year with a degree of sanctity that has not been seen over the past 5 decades, a trend that is likely to continue well into next year. Investors expect central banks to raise global monetary policy rate to almost 4% through 2023, an increase of more than 2 percentage points over their 2021 average. Up next on World Now at 4, it's sports news. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Memo Cynthia Asoya. Super Eagles head coach Jose Peseiro has stressed that he hopes to win the 2023 African Cup of Nations for Nigeria. The next edition of AFCON is built to hold in Ivory Coast. The Portuguese tactician, June, had promised to bring smiles to the faces of Nigerians by winning the long-coveted trophy after the country last won it in 2013, under the guidance of late Stephen Keshi. Speaking ahead of Nigerians' international friendly against Algeria, Jose Peseiro said the friendly game will put his team in shape to win the next AFCON tournament. The 62-year-old also gave an update on the injury to Leicester midfielder Wilfred Ndidi after the player was ruled out of Nigerian international friendly against Algeria. Former Nigerian basketball international Ime Udoka has been suspended as Boston Celtics head coach for the 2022-2023 season after he entered into a relationship with a female member of staff. Udoka, who led the Celtics to the NBA Finals earlier this year in his first season as a head coach, was suspended for violations of team policies. The team added that a decision about the 45-year-old's future beyond 2022-2023 will be made at a later date. Assistant coach Joe Mazzulla will be promoted to interim head coach. And of course, Udoka, born to a Nigerian father and American mother, represented Nigeria in international competition throughout his playing career, earning bronze medals at the African Championship in 2005 and 2011. Udoka has been in a long-time relationship with well-known American actress Nia Long, with whom he has a child. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. I am Memo Cynthia Soya. Back to Enian Luben for the rest of the news.
And that's World Now at 4. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines once again. On the headlines, we told you IGP 6 review of INEC's political programs. Sudan ruling general not to run in elections. And on the world stage, we brought to the fore that China sentences ex-justice minister to death